Welcome to the second episode of the Fangirl Podcast, brought to you by Fangirl the Magazine. Go ahead and check us out at fangirlthemag.com. I'm George Ash. We've got a good one for you this week. We're talking about Pokemon Go and the future of alternate reality games, Nintendo's new NES console thingy, Overwatch's first post-release character, the Emmys, live streaming Broadway plays, the latest Marvel Comics news, and a special interview at the end with Courtney Fields, who reviewed the new Ghostbusters movie for us. So thanks for watching, and leave a comment below letting us know what you think. Alright, let's go around. Let's introduce ourselves. I'm George. I'm the gaming editor at Fangirl the Magazine. Joining me today are Sean Morrison. You want to introduce yourself, Sean?
Co-founder and editor of the publication.
Fancy titles. Connor?
I'm Connor Relier. I'm the comics editor for Fangirl.
Awesome. And Max?
Hi, I'm Max Havey. I am the entertainment editor here at Fangirl.
Oh my god, your name is Havey. I've been reading it this entire time as Harvey.
That's totally fine. That
happens
happens
in there.
literally everywhere.
Not there at all.
No wonder you
might have
didn't
been
add him over Skype. You were putting in Harvey instead of
Yeah.
Havey.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. There's no R in my name.
Wow, I did not realize that.
It's a very common mistake.
So yeah, all of us have played Pokemon Go kind of, except for Max over there.
I've experienced it through other people.
Yeah. It's hard not to.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those cultural phenomenons now. I think that there have been a lot of articles, like we were talking about earlier, think pieces and things like that are just permeating the web. But also, you can't go a day without seeing something strange that happened because of Pokemon Go, or something, disheartening, something great. For example, just earlier this morning, I read something about the typical Florida man getting his gun out of his house and charging toward a car with two kids in it trying to catch a Pokemon, not understanding what was going on, and then firing at them. No one was hurt, thankfully, but that's just one of those things that is happening.
Yeah.
And then you've also got people in Central Park in NYC just storming across the entire place to catch a Vaporeon. That video was
crazy
insane.
video.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Oh my god.
There was
walking in New York City now, because since I live in the city, it's already pretty annoying. Especially when you're in Times Square and Midtown area where there's a lot of tourists. They don't really get the beat of the city. They don't really get how to walk here, which is kind of really annoying. But now you throw in Pokemon Go into the mix. And there was one day I was walking through Midtown, and this group of 4 or 5 kids just were blocking the entire sidewalk because they were trying to catch a Pokemon. And you're like, okay, I'm into this game too, but we need to keep traffic moving.
Just
we
treat
still
it
have to function like people.
Treat it like a game of Red Rover, just run right through.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what we have to do.
Yeah, there was some guy in Texas who got arrested because he made threats on Facebook about going out to shoot Pokemon Go players. The guy, of course, had tattoos all over his face and everything, so he seemed like an upstanding member of society to begin with, but...
The face tattoo is always a bad sign.
Yeah.
What's your best catch so far?
Oh god, let me look at this. Probably... I think I got a Pidgeot that was level 520 something, but I haven't been playing a lot the last few days.
Gotcha. See, I've got the whole dog walking thing going for me, so in the mornings and then late
that's
at night.
me opening up the app.
Yep, good job. I'm walking about 3 miles a day anyway, so I just bring it along with me. I think I've got a Flareon and a Pidgeot that are in the 900s now, and just the other day I hatched a Porygon, which is probably the coolest thing I've seen so far.
It's the polygonal shaped one.
Yeah, the one that's part bird, part man-made, strange geometric shapes. But you see the different gyms and stuff, even around here. I mean, it's not that bustling of an area, but there are people that have things into the 1500s already.
Yeah.
Saw one guy with a 2000 Snorlax and just wanted to be about that life, but not really too. That seems like a bit too much of an obsession at that point.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting in a town like Columbia, the way that it really has kind of taken over for some people. I was out, I think, on Wednesday night with some friends after trivia, and I was just astounded by the amount of people that are just out in Peace Park at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night, just out there trying to catch Pokemon.
Yep. Working across from Peace Park, there's just lures there all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo got really smart, or Niantic, or whatever the company is. They were really smart with the way that they did it, because not only are they capitalizing on the fact that, you know, it's fun for kids and it's fun for like everyone and all that kind of stuff, but they're really capitalizing on the whole nostalgia thing, because it's the original 150, and that was like our generation growing up, and like a lot of the people that I see playing it are like kids our age, or like kids that we're not even kids anymore, but like, you know, people who grew up in that era of Pokemon, like they just took to it so well.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm catching Pokemon I at least recognize, because I only paid attention to the original 151, and so
Right.
there's like this ice cream Pokemon now, I think, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not
called,
catching this ice cream cone guy.
Right.
I remember this because I did that whole article about going from just catching the original
yeah.
150 to trying out to catch the 720 something they have now. And
Gosh.
it's called Vanillish. Its evolution is called Vanilla Ice, and it has 2 heads. It's like a double. It's not even like a double scoop. It's like a scoop, and then you have a separate scoop coming off of a slightly larger cone.
It's like it's kind of. Oh, okay, I see.
Does
Because,
Vanilla
yeah,
Ice
because
take
that
it
makes
to the
sense.
extreme?
Oh God.
I really love that it's Vanilla Ice, because it's like Vanilla Ice.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's one of those Pokemon too that like you catch it and then you just hide it away forever, and you only keep it because you need it to get to the next one in the Pokédex.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I think that's been really interesting about Go is just how much it's benefited the lives of a lot of people who have played it, and a lot of people who are like affected by it in an auxiliary fashion. Like small businesses that are close to different Pokestops have been getting a lot more business recently. People are obviously getting out and walking around, which is for some people who play this a big deal. For some people, an even bigger deal. You know, I know, for example, there's the Brass Cat is a bar that's near me, and they've set up charging stations in the bar so people can charge their phones while they're going around.
That's
And
freaking needed, because this game eats up my battery so quickly.
oh, exactly. And then they also have a lure that they set there pretty much every hour. They're just rotating through with lures to get people in during their business hours. And it's worked tremendously well. It's actually at a corner where there are 3 separate Pokestops. So then other people will come in, put lures on the other 2, and then you've just got like a giant Pokefest going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's going on a ton of other places too. It can really draw people to particular areas, and also it's just a shared experience for everybody that goes there to play it.
Yeah.
I was in Grand Central Station with a friend who came into the city on the train, and we were waiting for his train to come in, and we walked into one of the shops that's in like near the bottom of the station, and the shop owner came up to us and was like, "Hey, if you guys have Pokemon Go and you catch anything in our store, take a picture of it. We'll give you a discount." Like, people are really capitalizing on it.
Yeah. Then there's the other side of the coin, where you guys read about the coughing that appeared at a Holocaust museum.
Yeah.
Poorly placed.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anything else, there's kind of the ups and downs to it, and then people who don't really respect what the boundaries of it should be, you know, or try to take advantage of it. Like we've heard about people getting robbed because they put a lure at a Pokestop and then accost people once that person gets there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like going back to the Holocaust Museum, I've heard a few other people talk about this, but isn't Pokemon Go based off of a game that was pre-existing, and a lot of the Pokestops and things of that sort are kind of mapped over that?
Yeah, all the Pokestops and everything. Niantic's previous game,
Yeah.
Ingress, I played that a little bit back in the day. Wasn't nearly as popular as this one. They kind of did the work of bringing all the landmarks and everything into the game, and then they kind of just brought those over into Pokemon. So yeah,
Gotcha.
all the Pokestops and everything are based off of landmarks and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's also Ingress wasn't as noticeable when people were playing it, I think, just because it didn't permeate the culture so much.
Yeah.
And it's also just in general more discreet. It was basically like you're just kind of claiming different areas for one team or another, and it doesn't require standing there and swiping up until you catch something, and there wasn't like the whole screenshot phenomenon either.
Yeah, you're not catching anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's Pokemon Go. It's been freaking amazing for Nintendo's shareholders.
They
jumped like 25% in a few days.
The amount of money that they are making is insanity.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because they were really trying to break into the mobile market earlier in the spring with Miitomo, which caught on very briefly, but kind of fizzled out. This is far more successful than that.
Yeah, they said a year ago or so that they were trying to break into the mobile market. So I guess this is one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we were talking about this a little bit, but the augmented reality aspect of it, I think, is really what's gotten people going with it, because it's not like you have to sit down in front of a console, grab a controller, and hang out for a couple of hours. You could be out doing whatever you normally do, and it's something that enhances your day, or for some people, gets people to get out. So, you wonder how long this fad is going to last. It's only been about a week and a half now with this game out. So, how long is the fervor going to go? Is this going to be something that's a cultural phenomenon for months to come, or does it, in a couple of weeks just become not as important? And also augmented reality. We haven't really seen that as a game type all that much, other than Ingress. So where does that go from here?
Yeah, augmented reality is an interesting idea with Microsoft. They're working on, I forget what it's called right now, but you guys remember Google Glass?
Oh yeah, the
That,
HoloLens.
yeah, the HoloLens, there we go. It's pretty
Yeah.
much like Google Glass, what it was supposed to be, but Google Glass kind of failed. HoloLens looks sick, if not expensive as hell.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd really love to see more augmented reality stuff on like iPhones and that kind of thing, because that really does, open it up to a lot of people, especially people who can't go out and afford a $400 PS4 or something like that. But you can still have your game that allows you to see the world in a different way on your phone. Like that's a really cool aspect of it, is that it really does open it up to a lot of different people.
Seeing a Pokemon standing in the auditorium of a classroom is just so cool.
Right, exactly.
Or on a toilet. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Toilets, beds.
You know.
I think, oh my God, there's been like such a rush of people screenshotting Magikarp sitting on their toilets or in the bathtub, like generally in the bathroom.
I mean, that's better than the Diglett pics, though.
Yeah.
Oh God, I didn't even think of that.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
those though I've seen plenty of just clickbaity things like, check out these NSFW Pokemon Go pictures.
God. Ugh.
Jeez,
Oh, so bad.
not my favorite thing.
Like Pokemon Go, though, itself, not knowing how long that's going to last, I wonder if augmented reality kind of fade with it, or if other developers will come in and work on it some more, because I'm not sure how much you can really do with the technology to keep people interested.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memes that has come out of this game is people like proposing the next like Go app. Like, what was one of it? No, it's like about a Broadway joke some people made, like Into the Woods Go, where you have to go out and find like the cow is white as milk, cape is red as blood, and 3 midnights, and like that's like my favorite meme. It's just people coming up with like different ways that we can create this game.
Up at Noon proposed Dragon Ball Z,
Oh,
where you're
find the Dragon
searching for
Balls.
the Dragon Balls out in the wild.
That's pretty great. There's
Yeah.
7 across the world. Like,
Yeah.
I saw a Reddit post like that. Like, they're just gonna hide them in like Antarctica and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Which would lead to it only being a rich person's game, pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
You could split into good and evil. Like, do it just like Ingress, where there's 2 teams and then have one on each continent. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
Start a race war here, Sean.
Oh, man.
I mean, TBH, so that's essentially the plot of Ready Player One. So
Fair. I think with augmented reality, going back to what you said about there not being that many ways you could take it, that's the one hindrance that you can run into, because if you do have that experience of sitting in front of a console and the powers that a console has, as well as the VR and other things like that, you can have so many different variations of the actual theme. Whereas with this, if you're going to make a game where it fits into you walking around or doing whatever you do within a day, and make that augment the experience that you're actually living within, there aren't many ways you could do that won't make people stop occasionally to catch a Pokemon on the street, but how much of a time investment is that really? Like maybe 15 to 30 seconds ish. So how can you make a very different type of game that has that same time investment? There aren't many ways to do it. I think the company that figures out how to do that is going to have another pretty big moneymaker on its hands, but I haven't seen anything that really has stood out to me as being vastly different from the ideas that Pokemon Go put forward.
I mean, Nintendo's played around with AR stuff in the past, though. Like a lot of the tech demo-y stuff that came packed in with the original 3DS were the AR cards that were kind of showing off the 3D capabilities of the 3DS. And while they were cool for like, I don't know, a few hours, like there was like some sort of mini golf thing that involved shooting a dragon. There was Face Raiders, things that were like vaguely AR, but you know, pretty light on the content. Like they've done it, and they can make it less of a social experience, but making it that social experience that Pokemon Go has become is what's going to be important, as Sean said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of Pokemon Go. So there is one other piece of Nintendo news this week that I found kind of interesting. I'll drop this into the chat real quick. It's a tweet from Nintendo. They're releasing the NES. They're releasing a new version of it, for $60. That comes with 30 games just downloaded and installed on it.
Yeah, they're really making a play at this nostalgia thing right now.
Yeah, they really are.
Just gonna say that.
I mean, they've been really good about that in the past too. Their virtual console stuff has been relatively successful over the past couple of years. They've brought in a lot of stuff that's been hard to find, like bringing Earthbound to Wii U and then 3DS this year was a big coup. Just getting Super Nintendo games in general on the 3DS was the reason I bought a new 3DS back in March. But all the NES stuff has been readily available in a lot of other forms, but I think with this, you're getting stuff that wasn't necessarily part of those like NES classics, because back then, when it was out for like Game Boy Advance, it was really just like Metroid, Super Mario Bros., Legend of Zelda, and Link's Adventure. And this one has like Castlevania 2 on it. It has a lot of like the sequels, and a lot of stuff that I think is like not quite as readily available as other things.
Yeah. Wonder what crowd they're going after with this too, because it doesn't take much of a computer to run an NES emulator. I mean, I have one. I even have a USB NES controller sitting around my room somewhere. So, which is, I guess, more rare to have than the emulator itself. But it's gonna be interesting to see how this does. It's $60, so price of a full game, you get 30 really old games.
I think it is more of the casual crowd, similar to what Pokemon Go goes after. Nintendo's doing a really good job of drawing in people with sort of what I call the gateway drugs, mobile games, and then games that are really simple and old-timey, stuff that might have some nostalgic value to it. And then once you get hooked on those things and you're within a community where people are talking about those games, well, what if they start talking about something that's actually coming out on a console and you've got some spare money? So that could be something that sets them up really well coming into the holiday season with Sun and Moon coming out. People playing Pokemon Go and playing all these old-time games might say to themselves, well, I've tried this out, why not get Sun and Moon?
And I can see a lot of this, I mean, like, again, playing into that whole nostalgia thing. Like, people are going to say, oh my god, this NES is coming out, buy it for their kids and be like, hey, this is what I used to play when we were growing up. Mm-hmm. And here we can share that experience together again. I really think that Nintendo is going to knock that one out of the park.
Yeah, the system itself is also freaking adorable. It looks just like a regular NES, but it fits in this palm of fairly small looking, it looks like hand. It's just like, I kind of actually do want that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's besides Nintendo, it's been a pretty slow week in video games. What else has been happening this week?
Overwatch getting a new character.
Yes.
Oh, really?
5 or 4 that they're bringing out. I forget how many, but
I don't remember how many they are. But we're getting a new character. Did they announce a release date? I didn't see if they did.
No, I don't think so.
They have them out on PC now. She's out on PC.
Do they?
Yeah.
I should know this. I'm a PC gamer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more of a test phase thing. I'm not sure if she's like hard out right now, but I mean, when I heard sniping healer, that's either going to be a great character or something that like eventually nobody uses. It's a really fun idea. I can't imagine myself playing it because I suck at sniping anything. Like even with Widowmaker now, I don't play it. because I don't have I'm playing on console, so it's less precise, but I don't have the reaction time to actually clip people, let alone, oh, I really need to get a headshot on this teammate right now so they don't die. I just don't
Right.
trust
Oh, is
myself
that
to
how
do
you
that.
heal them?
You
I
heal them
haven't.
by shooting them, and you don't have to switch between things either. If you shoot a teammate, it heals them. If you shoot an enemy, it
That's
damages
nice.
them.
That's nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Wow.
guess you're
Okay.
being a bit
Yeah.
overpowered because healers tend to have to stay in the back, and the
Yeah.
sniper
Right.
usually stays in the back. So it's kind of performing two roles in one. Not sure what the downside is, unless it's just less damage.
Well, I think I was reading an article from Blizzard talking about the character, and I don't think that like her damage is. It's definitely not going to be a Widowmaker situation
Okay.
where like she can take you out in like one shot. It's
It
more
pissed
going to
me
be
off.
like a gradual kind of thing where once she hits you, like it will deplete your health over time, as opposed to
Oh,
like just
That makes
hitting you right
sense.
away.
damage over
Yeah.
time. Huh, cool.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
Yeah.
that'll be
Uh,
a fun one. And the buffs to Zenyatta and Diva. Zenyatta, I'm
Mhm.
excited about because I love playing Zenyatta, but he just is so slow, and his shields are so bad. It's
I
gonna
like
be
how they're
nice.
balancing the game differently on PC and consoles too.
Yes, I
So,
know the Torbjorn was
yeah.
Torbjorn. Yeah, my friends
Yeah.
keep calling him Toburn, and it just like makes
I,
me.
I was calling him like Toblerone at first. I'm like, yeah, Toblerone, whatever. I can't pronounce this.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense on consoles for them to do it the way they do because on consoles you do miss so much more frequently when you're aiming unless you have that turret that does so much damage and immediately snaps to people
Yeah.
whenever they're in the line of sight. But yeah, I'm really thankful for that one.
What about outside of video games? Unless there's anything else in video games that you guys know happened this week.
Well, I mean, the Emmys got announced, but I don't know if we want to hash that out.
Oh yeah.
If you guys know anything about that, feel free.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts. So I don't want to make it one-sided, so
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, like it's
Inform
just
us.
dope that like people that the Americans that's the big one among a lot of the television critics that I follow is that the FX show The Americans got after 4 seasons finally got nominated for Best Actor in a Drama, Best Actress in a Drama, and Best Overall Drama, which
Mhm.
is big. Veep is probably still going to sweep.
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Mr. Robot got nominated for drama, which is excellent.
Season 2 of that just launched up, didn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it started last Wednesday.
I was a little upset, and I know a lot of people were talking about the fact that Orange is the New Black got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they missed out big with Orange, and they really missed out not noticing shows like Jane the Virgin and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend as well.
Yeah.
Those are
Well, Crazy
doing a lot of really
Ex-Girlfriend,
interesting stuff on the CW where a lot of people aren't paying a lot of attention. I don't think.
right? Crazy Ex-Girlfriend did get a couple of,
I think they got
well,
like title sequence and like music.
something like that, and then also choreography.
Oh,
One
that
of their
makes sense.
choreographers got nominated for best choreography in a show.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I was a little shocked that that didn't get in as well.
I think it needs like another year in the same way that I'm really mad You're the Worst didn't get anything, even though nobody watches that as well. But yeah, I finally caught up with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend over the past couple weeks because that's on Netflix now, and
Yeah.
I was definitely watching it legally before that. And that's worth your time if you have the time to spare for it. It's real fun. They're really smart with their music. I mean, Rebecca Bloom in general is really smart. Her old YouTube stuff is really good, but she's a very interesting person, and that show is constantly a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
I don't typically pay attention to television too much, but one of the things from the Emmys that stood out to me was the Daily Show failing to get an Emmy nomination for the first time in
Yeah.
15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, guess not having Jon Stewart anymore hurt them, because
Yeah.
yeah, they've been nominated for Outstanding Variety, Music, or Comedy Series every year since 2001.
Well, they practically swept the category for like 6 years.
Did they?
Yeah,
Doesn't surprise me.
because Colbert won 2 years ago. They won again last year, and this year they're neither Colbert nor Daily Show is in there.
Yeah, even Colbert's new show.
Mhm.
Yep.
Which still really isn't quite catching on with people. I know
No,
it's
I-
new, It's gonna take a little time, but yeah.
It's not the same. I missed the character.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting though that they decided to include Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee in that category, which is kind of this odd duck streaming series on Crackle, which is another network nobody pays much attention to at all. But that's it's a surprisingly really great little web series that it's neat to see that getting Emmy recognition.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I was also really excited, just as LGBTQ representation. RuPaul's Drag Race finally got its first Emmy nomination, which is really exciting.
I saw a lot of people online really, really happy about that.
Yeah, because I mean, the show is just a lot of fun. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's so exciting to watch, and it's a really big part of the LGBTQ community, and a lot of straight up audience watches it too. But
absolutely.
To see RuPaul finally get recognized for that was just really, really exciting. And I'm really hoping that he goes to the Emmys in full drag, because I think that would be so exciting.
For sure.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I also think it was really cool, still talking about representation at the Emmys. They have a lot of their choices on a lot of ends are diverse, especially in comedy. They made it a point to recognize the people on Blackish who are doing a lot of really good work right now. I just caught up with an episode they recently did about police brutality and police violence. It's a bottle episode, and it's basically approaching how Black families talk to their children about these types of things that come across in the news. And it was also, the creation of that episode was a subject of a profile of showrunner Kenya Barris that ran in the New Yorker a couple months ago. And it's nice to see that show getting the recognition it deserves.
Next, I wanted to see if you could talk a little bit more about something else on kind of the other side of Broadway.
Yeah.
The story that Sarah Kellogg wrote for us about live streaming of Broadway events, something that could definitely save us all a lot of money.
Yeah. Well,
and bring us into the experience.
See, she's the one who initially told me about that live stream, because Sarah's a friend of mine, and she's crazy into Broadway. And she saw She Loves Me over spring break in New York. She met Zachary Levi, who's in there playing the Jimmy Stewart character, because it's based on Shop Around the Corner, which is a Jimmy Stewart film. But she and a bunch of other critics that I follow were really vocal about the fact that, hey, this is live streaming for a week. I think maybe longer than a week, week and a half or so.
They extended the run after it was supposed to only be up for that weekend, and then they extended it for the week.
Yeah. But it's interesting they decided to do that, especially since Broadway is making its way full steam back into the public consciousness and the culture, the zeitgeist, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I mean, especially when we live in an age where Hamilton tickets are going for just ungodly amounts of money, even though most of the cast is not left, it's still probably the biggest show in the country. It took away most of the Tonys outside of set design, which did go to She Loves Me. And Broadway HD is kind of it's a network most people haven't heard of. It's not a cable network. I think it's an online network. Mm-hmm. That mostly just has archived shows from the West End. But outside of that, the only other instances I've ever seen of live theater played in front of an audience is when they would do those national theater performances that would play in movie theaters. But those are $20 tickets. Whereas the live stream for She Loves Me, I think it was $9. Yeah. Yeah, it's really affordable, and it's less than you'd pay for like cheap seats at that show.
Are they only doing live streaming, or
they're all the ones that are up right now are recordings. Like they've got Imelda Staunton and Gypsy as Mama Rose, which is pretty fantastic. They've got the 25th anniversary of Les Mis, and like most recordings. Some of these recordings were the ones that they like broadcasted live across the country and the theaters and that kind of thing. But hopefully they'll bring more recordings of more recent shows.
Yeah. I wonder how much piracy will affect this, because that's really not something the theater industry has had to deal with before, to my knowledge anyways, so...
Well, it's actually... I think that this will help to keep piracy down, because a lot of ways people have seen shows in the past has been through people illegally recording shows. There was a bootleg of Hamilton going around for a little while, and that's how people were seeing it. Yeah, it got taken down like really fast, obviously, because Hamilton is so popular right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to let anybody see that for free. But there was one of Book of Mormon a couple of years ago that was going around the internet. Heathers the Musical, which was a show, a musical adaptation of the movie Heathers, had a bootleg that was going around the internet for a while. But it's mostly just people sitting in the theater with like their iPhone covered by their purse, like recording from the balcony. But
yeah, I mean,
that's how people would watch shows from the
I didn't
Midwest.
realize that was a problem before.
Yeah.
I did a piece about piracy, at least in games. A lot of the reason people have stopped pirating games is just convenience. You have Steam now. It's like, before pirating games, it's like I can go to the store and bother with all that stuff, socializing and stuff. Or I can just go to the Pirate Bay and download it in the next few hours. So when Steam came around, that kind of helped out with that. At least for me, I kind of stopped pirating because it's just more convenient not to. See, if you're going to get a better recording for cheap, whereas your other option before was pay however much a ticket price is and get to New York. Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't realize people were recording those before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it used to just be like really secret. Like people would you would hear it like through conversation. It was like no trail online, and then you would find it, and it'd be like this gold mine, and then the next weekend it'd be gone.
We do live in a streaming society now, so it makes sense that Broadway would do something like this to bring people back in and make that more accessible. I mean, you have Netflix, Hulu, everything else under the sun, and in different mediums like games, you've got things like Steam. And I think that it hasn't gotten as much publicity as I think I would expect, honestly, but it'll be really interesting to see where they go from that if they do try to make it a live experience with all the pros and cons that go with that. One of the things that Sarah mentioned in her article is that early on it seemed as if the stream had some problems buffering because there were so many people watching it and they didn't expect to have that many people on the servers.
I mean, if they're using this as like something to test the waters for this, I think it did a heck of a job. The fact they had to extend the run is a very good sign, and hopefully in the future that means we'll get more of this.
Yeah,
I really hope so, and hopefully to like continue doing recent shows like this. Like She Loves Me was a great show to do, and I'm really sad that it's closed now because I wanted to go see it. But I mean, hopefully they can, especially next season, they can keep doing that. And I think, wasn't there a rumor going around that they recorded performances of Hamilton with the original cast before?
I remember hearing, I think I either heard Lynn talking about it somewhere or I saw him tweet something that they were going to record it, which that'll be crazy.
Like, if Broadway HD really wants to become popular, put that video out there.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I think they would break the internet, not in the Kim Kardashian way.
Right. In comics news, one of the original Avengers is dead.
Yeah.
That was a big one. So in Marvel, we've got Civil War II going on right now.
Spoiler alerts ahead?
Spoiler alerts ahead if you haven't read it. Sorry, guys. I didn't know. We can stop?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Just give a spoiler warning and go ahead.
Yep, they know.
Spoiler warning. Here's your spoiler warning. So Bruce Banner is no more. He has been killed.
Dun dun.
Dun dun. And the big twist that Brian Michael Bendis wanted it to be was that it was Hawkeye that killed him.
Yeah.
It was a big one. I mean, it was a good twist, but it was not done well.
Why not?
It was just really fast, and the scene that it happened is because the whole crux of Civil War II is this, because they've been focusing on the Inhuman so much, this new Inhuman comes along and he can see the future. And he starts telling the Ultimates and the Avengers about problems that are going to come, and so that they can stop them before they happen. It's a little civil Captain America Winter Soldier action going on there. But so he has this vision of the Hulk killing all of the Avengers. So they go to confront Bruce Banner, and then Carol Danvers and Tony Stark are having this discussion with Bruce, and Bruce is kind of like getting really upset. And then halfway through the conversation, Clint just like shoots him in the head with an arrow, and he's like, he was going to turn into the Hulk, and you're like, it was just a conversation.
Oh my god.
There was no, like, there was so much further you could have gone in that execution of it, and it was just kind of like, there was really no indication that you really had to kill him at that moment. Like, it could have been done a little bit longer, like allowed for a little more build up.
Yeah.
I just thought it was too fast. And,
sounds like it.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's still another Hulk in that universe, though, right?
I don't know, because it used to be Red Hulk, and after Battle World, I just kind of lost track of him.
Well, no, I thought. But what about the totally awesome Hulk, Amadeus Cho?
Oh yeah, I don't know if he's still around. He probably is.
He's probably rolling around the Marvel universe somewhere.
Yeah.
There's just so many layers to it now. I mean, they did this whole thing to reunify the series and kind of simplify things down, but it's still just so hard to keep track of all the different layers to it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say that I feel like Battle World just happened. Like Secret Wars only ended in December, January, and we got into the new Marvel, all new, all different Marvel, which really is all new or all different. And now here we are at Civil War 2, which is the next thing that's going to shake up the whole Marvel universe. And they've already announced the next 62 books that are coming out this fall. And it's like, they just don't take a break. And then next summer, we're going to have something else that changes everything, and they're going to have all new number ones. And it's just a never-ending cycle when you're a Marvel fan.
Can't stop.
Same thing with DC. But...
Yeah, I was going to say, because like DC's starting over yet again. Because
exactly.
New 52 didn't work out the way they thought it would.
Right.
For anybody that's not Batman, I guess.
Sure.
Right.
And even that
seemed pretty
too.
reactionary. It seemed like, just based on what Marvel was already doing and the success they were having with it.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of interesting because Battle World happened at the same time as, I think it was Convergence, it was called.
Yeah.
And it was almost like the exact same storyline happening in DC and Marvel, but Marvel just executed it better.
Mm. Now, this might be reading into it a bit too much, but I do think that playing into current events a little bit, it sort of seems as if the Bruce Banner getting killed scene does sort of fit into this idea of paranoia and kind of self-destruction of a culture.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, Brian Michael Bendis gave an interview about it. Because, I mean, Civil War, the original Civil War storyline was all about Bush-era politics, and it was all about the Patriot Act. So Civil War has always been kind of a mirror for like what's going on in our society. So Civil War 2, Brian Michael Bendis is trying to make it about Black Lives Matter, policing, and overuse of force, and profiling, and the questions that we are facing right now as a society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then that's a definite kind of tie. I mean, that, no pun intended, sort of hits you right in the face there.
Oh, yeah.
Especially losing a character like that. I mean, Hulk himself doesn't speak, but he's always, in the comics and also in the movie series that people who are more casual fans are more in tune with, he's always kind of been like ridiculously ferocious, but at the same time sort of lovable and one of the more fun people to watch. I mean, anybody who's seen the Avengers movies is going to remember Hulk picking up Loki and slamming him side to side to side. Was that Loki or was it Thor?
No, it was Loki.
It was Loki.
It was Loki.
It was in the final battle.
The Avengers films and the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, though, has done a really good job to kind of retcon the cinematic image of the Hulk. He's such a more lovable person, and you like him. He's a much more likable person, and Ultron sort of left his fate sort of, ambiguous. Though, if you know any casting about Thor Ragnarok, you kind of know what's coming next.
So, you saw Ghostbusters?
Yes, I did. It was actually a lot funnier than I was expecting it to be.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. I was expecting a lot of Melissa McCarthy's movies. I'm not a big fan of her other movies because they're like over the top with humor, and I'm not like, and it's just not the comedy that I'm normally accustomed to like enjoying.
Mhm.
But it was enough quirky and enough like subtle jokes that I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was really funny.
Nice. What else is she in?
She was in, it was Identity Thief.
Oh, that
and-
woman. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now I know who you're talking about.
Yes. And so she's in Mike and Molly, which is a TV show.
Okay.
And that's like where she got started. I mean, she originally was on Gilmore Girls, and I thought she was hilarious in that. But then she went to other TV shows, and it was kind of different comedy. And it was not what I prefer.
Yeah, but this is better.
Yeah, I like this a lot better.
Awesome. What about the other actors?
I love Kate McKinnon. She's my absolute favorite in it. She was so funny.
I'm just looking up actors as you go because I do not know actors.
Oh, I have IMDb pulled up right now next to me. That's why I'm getting this all right.
Smart. Nice.
And I mean, I know Melissa McCarthy, but I didn't know anyone else besides like Kristen Wiig going into it. But
Yeah, that's a name I actually do recognize. Yeah.
I really like Kristen Wiig. I'm really impressed with her in like the past 2 years in general because she played a really serious role in The Martian recently, and then she went back to comedy with this, and I feel like she did a really, really, really good job in like pulling it off, and I think they all really clicked well together, the cast especially.
Nice. That's good. Yeah, having a good cast that clicks is definitely important. All right, before we go any further, let's introduce you actually real quick.
Okay, cool.
So who are you?
I'm Courtney Fields.
Awesome. What do you do here for us at Fangirl?
I write, so far I've done a few comic book reviews, and I'm working on a story about music and vinyl and versus the digital age.
Awesome.
So.
You're a Mizzou student, right?
Yes, I am. I just finished my freshman year.
Oh, so young.
Yeah. A baby.
So, besides the actresses, how was the rest of the movie? The story, the length?
I think the length was really good. It might have, like, it seemed to drag a little bit near the end because it seemed like it was coming to a close really fast. And then all of a sudden a whole new, like, plot point took a hold of it.
Wow.
It was, like, a lot of, the first part of the movie was a lot of setup. And they were trying to, like, introduce the characters and like them kind of forming the Ghostbusters, and then they're like, oh, it's halfway through the movie, now we're going to introduce a villain. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like, okay, this is happening now, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess new cast of characters and everything, and a bit of time to set that up, I guess. The movie's an hour and 56 minutes long, so that's not too terribly long for a movie.
No, it was a really good length once you got over that. It was just kind of like a jump, and you're like, oh, there's more to the movie. Okay.
Was it slow at the beginning, and then you're like, thank God something's about to happen?
No, actually, I feel like it had a good pace because a lot of the beginning was just like a lot of introducing the characters and how the characters talk to each other, and they kind of introduced each character interacting with another character one-on-one, like one-on-one and one at a time. And I thought it was really funny, and they had a lot of, the humor changed as it went throughout the movie. So it started out, it was a lot of like underlying sly jokes and pop culture references.
Okay.
And just kind of like nudges to the audience, like, oh, do you get this? And then it started getting into more, you knew the characters, so they made jokes about the characters and different things like that.
Yeah. Are some of those pop culture references, are those things you feel that will like fade with time, and in a few years the movie might not have that kick it has now?
I feel like it was pop culture references, but it was more like very dated pop culture references. So they were talking about like
ones.
Yes, so they're talking about like Barnum, the guy who ran the circus. He's like the Barnum brothers. They like were the first
take your word
big
for it.
circus. Well, they made a bunch of jokes about him in the very beginning. About him, they're like, oh, this is where he came up with the idea for elephants. It's like, oh, this building had the best security, prevented against Irishmen or something like that. Like just like kind of jabs at like old New York.
Where did you see it?
I saw it. Oh no, I don't even.
It just came out today, right?
I think so.
Okay. You saw it
I
at Columbia?
I did see it in Columbia.
All
I
right.
saw it. I think it's the Hollywood Theater.
Okay. Yep. I know what you're talking about. Was it packed?
It wasn't packed
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
I think it might have been because I went at 5 o'clock, so it was kind of earlier in the day. So it was a lot of adults who I think had just gotten off of work or parents taking their kids.
Yeah. And it's summer in a college town. A lot of
Exactly.
people aren't here right now. But yeah. What was the age group of the people there? Was it mostly parents with their kids?
It was mostly parents with their kids, or it was half and half. It was mostly like parents in their or like adults in their 40s who had been our age, like or like
I guess.
college age when Ghostbusters came out. A lot of people were wearing Ghostbusters shirts.
Nice.
And then there were parents who were bringing like 13-year-old, like 10-year-old kids to go see it.
Yeah, who when the third movie comes out will be 40 years old.
Oh gosh.
When did the first movie come out? Is that
It's like 86.
I want to say around then. That sounds about right. Before both of our time. Um, had you seen the first movie recently?
I hadn't seen the first movie since I was probably like 5 years old.
So yeah.
So, but I'd
Been a
seen
while
the
for me, too.
second. They have like a sequel to it, and I'd seen that one multiple times.
What? There's another I didn't even
There's
know
a
there was
sequel
a...
to the first one, yeah.
I thought this was the only sequel. Cool. Did any of the characters make cameos or anything from the original?
I'm pretty sure. I think all of them did.
Okay.
And they were really subtle cameo, or like some of them were very subtle, and then some of them were like right in your face. They disappear, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's so funny," because that's not who they were in the last movie.
Different characters completely. That's pretty cool. So yeah, what do you think of they completely changed it up, going with 4 women this time instead of 4 men like the original? How'd that change?
I
Go,
think it changed, and I think it actually added to it. It added a whole new dynamic, because it showed how the women interacted with each other, and it kind of touched in the movie on how the women were treated differently, and like a few of the characters were over the top sexist, and so they were basically being the voice of the people who were so opposed to it in real life. So a lot of them, like at one point, they read through YouTube comments, and they're like reading
That's
all
always a
these
good
comments. They're reading through comments of these videos they had posted, and it's like the actual comments that had made headlines from people. It was one of the best moments.
That sounds pretty freaking hilarious, actually. That's pretty smart. Yeah, because there was a lot of dumbasses, I guess, with dumbass comments when the first trailer came out.
They're like, "Oh, it's gonna ruin it," and even some of my friends, I was like, "Hey, want to go see Ghostbusters with me? I have to do like a podcast on it," and they're like, no, it looks like it's gonna be bad." But I was really surprised. I'm always wary about remakes, but I think that what they took with it, they kept the solid, like the relationships between all the guys, and they just like made it a relationship between a bunch of women who all were super smart. And then they even kind of poked fun at like the stereotype of how the women were portrayed in the last movie by having Chris Hemsworth be their secretary. And he is brainless. They're like, "What is his body?" At one point, they're like, "What is his body made of?" "I don't know, muscle and baby soft skin."
Wow.
Yeah. It was really funny, and I think they made a lot of very underlying jokes, and they're just like poking fun at the people who are making fun of them at the very beginning.
Yeah. So on Metacritic right now, it looks like the critic score is 60 out of 100. Sounds like you'd think that would be a little bit low.
I definitely feel like that's a little bit low. I feel like a lot of people are trying to hold it up to the original Ghostbusters, and they're trying to be like, "Oh, is it gonna be a classic like that movie was?" And I think they shouldn't do that. They should just take it as a movie on its own. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it is. It's a different story. It's a different time period, and it's different characters. It's not like with Star Wars, how they're basically like remaking the first movie for a new generation. They're actually just taking a basic concept and making a whole new movie.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at the original Metacritic score for the original Ghostbusters right now. That only has a 67.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like apparently critics didn't like that when it came out first either.
I mean, I kind of
Surprises me.
get. I feel like comedies don't do as well with critics as like dramatic movies because it's not as advanced and
Yeah, that's true, I
adult.
suppose. And we're looking back on the original Ghostbusters with a whole bunch of nostalgia as well.
That's
Uh,
true.
so that,
They also modernized the theme song, which I thought was really cool.
how so?
They added like rap into it,
Oh,
and they made it like electronic and rap, and they kind of remixed the original one. So instead of being like the annoying jingle that has been used for way too many things, they modernized it and made it stand out. It was really interesting.
nice. And how dare you call that an annoying jingle? God,
Oh
just
well, my
disappoint.
my math teacher made it into like a jingle to remember the Pythagorean theorem.
Oh God,
So it's forever
so
ruined in my
sorry.
mind.
Yeah, anything else you think needs to be said about the movie?
Uh,
Anything
the CGI is amazing.
really of the
It's
ghosts
stand
or?
out. The ghosts and the filming in general is pretty solid. They use a lot of creative angles and a lot of creative like techniques to capture like these really funny moments of things happening. And then the CGI is just, especially with the ghosts, is phenomenal. And then they kind of loosen up and make it kind of goofy for things like hanging off of buildings and stuff like that. So they really use it as a strength.
Nice. Any giant puff guy this time?
Yes,
Wait,
he's there.
really?
Yeah.
Oh
But
God.
it's not like a main thing. It's just like I think maybe 20 seconds and he falls on them or something
Oh
like
God.
that. He just appears. It's
Just
great.
because, why
Yeah,
not?
just
Nice.
they make a lot of appearances of like the classic imagery, but they don't make it a part of the plot.
Did it kind of set itself up for a sequel?
I think it set itself up for a sequel as in kind of how you could see these people going on a bunch of different adventures for it because they get it just sets it up like that where they're like, oh, we have this established thing now, we have this established business.
Oh, okay.
But in the fact of like something creepy crawling out of a closet or something like that happening where it's like, oh, there's obviously going to be a sequel, there wasn't one.
Yeah. So is that kind of what this movie was about? It was them setting up the business and everything?
Yeah, a lot of it, and they set is them setting up the business, and then it was also I think them just finding themselves in like in their dynamic in the group of people that they met along the way.
So you'd recommend the movie
I would
to your
recommend the movie.
friends who said they weren't interested
Oh,
before?
I'm gonna drag them, and I might just go see it again with them.
Nice.
It would be fun to just kind of sit there and watch my friends laugh and be like, haha, I told you so.
Yeah, I gotta say my expectations for this movie weren't that great either. Reboots often aren't amazing, so I'm glad to hear it was good.
It's been the season of reboots too.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Are you gonna write a review for us?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. When do you think we can expect that?
Tomorrow,
Soon. By the time
probably.
this goes up. So, listeners,
Yeah.
when you're listening to this, go to fangirlthemag.com and go check out a review.